Here we go into month 3 of this pandemic around the world. I don't know about you, but we are still in a shelter-in-place order. We're still doing social distancing. Now we're required to wear a mask whenever we go out into public where I live. Nothing is normal. Well, maybe not nothing, since it's still the end of the month and we still have a budget to set up. So let's talk about that today as I set up our May 2020 budget. Hi, and welcome to the Budget Bounce. If we haven't met, I'm Jen, and I talk all about living life on a budget here. It is about our journey to financial freedom that includes budgeting our money, how we're going to spend it, how we're going to save it, how we're going to pay down debt, everything related to money. That is what we're here to talk about. And today we're going to be talking about setting up our May budget for 2020. So join in the conversation and let me know down below how you're doing with your May budget or anything else you want to talk about with your money. I'm guessing that might be how you landed here because you like to talk about or hear about those things. So click on that subscribe button down below and tap on the bell so that you'll get notified every time I post a new video. Now, in the meantime, let's go ahead and just jump right into this and talk about what is May 2020 going to look like for us. Okay, so I've switched over to share my screen, and so I have a new setup here at home now. Since I'm working from home, I have my work computer here as well as my personal laptop, but I always now have this big monitor to work off of, which I didn't have before. And so you're going to notice something a little different here this time. I'm not going to be able to look at you because the webcam is on my laptop, which is here, but the budget spreadsheet is here. So I have to look here to be able to do this. Let's go ahead and just get going here. First of all, let's talk about our income. So you can see our income section here, and Matt and I are blessed that we are both still working full time. In fact, Matt is still working some overtime, and so we are going to be expecting our full salaries for the month of May, plus a little bit more for him because of the overtime that he's been working. So as per normal, I have our regular salaries from our full-time employment blacked out here. I have no problem sharing totals. I just don't share the details of what's coming in. And then you can see I have a line for sinking funds and another line for the emergency fund in case we end up pulling anything out of there. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about this column here. So there's the budgeted column, the actual column, and the over/under. We are not concerned during budget setup with these two columns. We are solely focused on the budgeted column to see how this is all going to play out with our plan for our money for the next month. So as you can see here, we are going to have a total of $9,728 coming in. That is our income bucket to work with. So we work off of a zero-based budget, and we want to be spending all of that money on paper, on purpose, before the month starts. If you follow Dave Ramsey, you know that I got that from him. And it absolutely is a fantastic way to think about it. I want to get it all here. This is our roadmap that we try to follow. We do not always stick to it. In fact, most of the time we veer from it a little bit throughout each month, but having the roadmap helps us know where we're trying to get to by the end of the month instead of trying to figure it out by the seat of our pants. So $9,728 it is, and let's talk about what else we need to add in here. Actually, Matt got a stimulus payment, so I want to add that here. And he did get $1,200, so that's going to bump our total income to $10,928. So let's jump in and talk about giving, and you can see here that we plan on doing $250. May is a very big month for birthdays, Mother's Day, our anniversary is during the month of May, all kinds of things happening, and graduations. Our son happens to be graduating. $250 is our giving budget for the month of May. Moving into housing, we need to make a couple of changes here. So our mortgage will plan on $1,054 like normal. Our gas and electric utilities, we do a budget bill every 6 months. So every 6 months they do an analysis and they say, okay, this is what we're going to charge you every month for the next 6 months. And that just came in and it went down to $135. Not even sure how we did that, but we did. So that's fantastic. We pay our water and our water, garbage, sewer utilities to the city quarterly, and that's coming up, and it's going to be about $170. So I'm going to put $170 there. Our mobile services will be $178, and our internet $101, and that brings our total housing to $1,639. All right, in transportation, I'm going to change gas from $300 down to $200. And that's because we didn't come anywhere near that during the month of April since I am working from home. And Matt he works 3 miles away. So it's literally a six mile round trip commute every day for him. So I'm going to go ahead and do 200 just in case they end up having us go back to work before the end of the month. And then OnStar will stay at $21 like normal. And that brings our total transportation to $221 because we don't have any plans on anything that needs to happen here. In the food budget, I am going to change this to $500. And so I tried to take it down for April and completely forgot we have 2 additional people living here, and that we just blew that budget right out of the water. So I'm changing this to $500 for groceries and $100 for dining, bringing our total to $600 for food. In the Henry category, I am going to add $10 to school fees because I just purchased a yard sign for him today. He is going to be a graduate of the class of 2020, and the high school had cap and gown pickup today at the high school. And by the way, it was the first time I left the house in 11 days. But anyhow, I went there and I got there early so that I could get one of the yard signs. So we'll put that out tomorrow. It stormed here all day today. So we'll get that out tomorrow in the front yard so everybody can see that we have a graduate, and we don't have anything for food service. I am going to add a line for graduation. Now, he isn't actually going to be having a ceremony. The school is closed through the end of the year. They are not having the commencement ceremony in May. They have not made the announcement for when that will be. But whether it be, I don't know. I don't know what we'll do. I just want to have some extra money available to do something special. We haven't decided exactly what that's going to be yet, since we can't do a gathering. We can't even invite my parents to come. They're high risk. My dad has lung disease, and we just can't be around them right now. So until this has passed, we just have to wing it. So I just want some money to be able to do something when we figure out what it is we want to do. So total for Henry is going to be $160 for the month of May. In pets, we aren't going to have any grooming, so I'm going to change that to $0. No food expenses. And then for meds, that'll be $0. And then vet, I'm going to change to $300. So it's always $54.95, but I'm changing it to $300 because we're taking our dog in for a follow-up to the saga that we had in January and early February, where she's having all kinds of health issues. And so this is a 90-day follow-up for that, a 3-month follow-up where she's been on some meds. And so we anticipate that that might get a little pricey, and I have to buy flea meds for her. So that's probably going to be about $100 just for that before I walk out the door. So anyway, $300 for pets is going to be our total. In insurance, we don't have any plans for any changes here. We're going to have $398 for medical insurance, $19.50 for dental, $80 for life, $62 for short-term disability, $53 for accident, $32 for critical illness, $60 for union dues, $47 for mortgage disability, $6 for personal articles, and then $12 for identity theft, bringing the total to $771. In entertainment, we'll have $20 for streaming. We will have the $3 for HP Inc. I'm going to change this Cinemark. This is our movie club. I'm going to change it to $0 because They have suspended memberships for now while the theaters are closed. So they're not charging anything right now. They didn't charge us in April, and I don't anticipate that they're going to charge us in May, since nothing has nothing's opened up around here. And we're supposed to be in a shelter in place, and many businesses will still remain closed. The very few that are going to be allowed to open in May don't include movie theaters. So anyhow, I'm going to leave family entertainment at $30. We've spent very little. We've rented a couple of movies like on Amazon Prime, but other than that, we really are not spending anything on family entertainment. So that brings our total to $53 for May. In health, no changes here. We're going to have $325 going to flexible spending, $35 to the gym. I think although now that I think about it, you know what? I'm going to take this down to 10 because there's two different gyms, and the one didn't charge us in April, and I don't think they're not opening in May. So I'm going to take that down to 10. And then healthcare will be $100. So that brings our total health expenses to $435. All right, moving into extras, we do have some things going on this month. So this is the time that I like to go look at our annual expenses worksheet. And this is a worksheet that I have that keeps track of all of the different things that happen that are not everyday standard bills that we have to pay and things like that. So what I'll do is put a filter on the month of May. And so I only want to see things that have an X in them. And so here we have, you can see we've got our Amazon Prime subscription, birthday, Mother's Day for 3 different people, 2 more birthdays. And then we have this Google Live 360 subscription that's coming up due. I do not know why these are showing here, but we have this Google Live 360. And so these are all the things that have to be accounted for in our budget. Now, all of these gifts, all of these things have already been accounted for. So the things that I need, and the city utilities, I've already accounted for those, but I need to get the Amazon Prime and the Google Live 360. So let's go back over to the budget spreadsheet and let's add those in. All right, so that brings our total for extras to $188. I don't have anything for crap I forgot about that. Since I have this annual expenses worksheet, it really helps because honestly, I forgot about Google Live 360, completely forgot. We just got that last year for the first time. And if I didn't have it in that spreadsheet, it would have shown up here in the crap I forgot about that. So anyhow, and it would have been in my budget report because I would not have planned for it because I wouldn't have remembered that I had it. All right, moving on to envelopes. We're going to have 40 for my personal spending, 80 for Matt, 75. Oh, you know what? I want to change the household to 150, and I'm going to change miscellaneous to 100. There are a lot of springtime activities happening right now. We ended up going over budget here in both of these line items in April, and I anticipate May will be the same because we're just doing a lot of stuff out in the yard and that kind of thing. And I wasn't even thinking about all that when I set up April. So I want to make sure that we have what we need for that for May. So that brings our total envelopes to $370. In the budget balance, I don't have any changes. It'll be the subscriptions for $11.98. That's 2 online subscriptions, one for Adobe Spark and one for my Google Drive storage. So that brings it to $11 for the month of May. All right, moving on to our savings. I need to change this to 50 for emergency fund because that's where we start. Every month we put $50 into the emergency fund. We always give 70 to the 3 different accounts we have set up for the kids. We're not going to put anything into M1 Finance. And then we have our retirement accounts. This is how much we plan on going in for those, which brings our total savings to $550. Scroll up a little bit here and let's talk about sinking funds. So we have a lot of sinking funds. If you're new here, this is a thing for me, and not everybody appreciates sinking funds or needs them the way that we do. But we have a tendency to money just burns through our pockets. Like if we don't have it allocated for something else, sitting somewhere else for something else, then it'll get spent on something that it was not intended for. This is how we ended up with so many sinking funds. So let's just run through these. So for auto insurance, we're going to put in $275, auto registrations, $39, business travel, $20, City utilities will be 80. Clothing is going to be 40. Estate planning 25. Gifts I'm going to take to 0 since we have so much activity for the month. In Henry School, we're going to put in 90. Holidays is going to be 60. Image and cosmetics 50. Life insurance, which is this is a totally separate life insurance. It's not all the other insurance you saw comes out of our paychecks. This is something totally separate, and so it's $81. Healthcare is 25. One check ahead is 50. Online subscriptions will be 80. Pet expense is going to be 0. Technology is going to be 25. Travel 340. Actually, you know what? I think it's going to be 425 now that I think about it. We have 5 Fridays in May. And vacation is going to be 100, vehicles 100, and wedding anniversary is 15. So that brings our total sinking funds to $1,580 for the month. All right, moving on to debt. Let's just talk about that for a minute. So our debt section's pretty big. We started with, I think it was 38 debts. We might have actually hit 40 over time, but I think we started with 38. And so I have this broken into 3 sections. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. And so we have a section for paid off, and we have a section for charged off, and a section for actively paying. So the paid off, these are things that have completely and totally been paid off. And that's a total of $25,434. And we're totally done with these. And you see there's 2 different font colors. Pink is something that's in my name. Black is something that's in Matt's name. The charged off section is all in black. These are all things that are in Matt's name, and they're old debts that have been charged off. They're long gone. They're not in the hands of the original creditors anymore. And we have decided, at Matt's request, that we are not going to focus on these right now. They are not accruing any interest or fees or anything like that. Creditors, collections agencies have bought them. And at some point we will get to these and we will deal with them. But for right now we are not, and that's $9,547. So then when we go down here to actively paying, you can see that we have $184,953 that we are actively paying on. Now, let me just run through what these will look like. So Medic EMS is an ambulance bill. This is because of an insurance screw up. They didn't process a claim correctly. And to prevent this from going into collections, we are paying $20 a month. It's not actually a debt. It's a bill that we have to pay. And I didn't have the money to pay the whole thing. And $20 was all they required. And when the insurance gets their act together, we actually will get all of this money back. So then Care Credit is credit card, and that is $50, and this is a Capital One credit card, and that's $25. My 401k loan is $154. My Matt's private student loan that has my name on it is $57. My Lowe's card is $190. This HELOC is new. This is a home equity line of credit, and it replaces the credit card that used to be on this line. And that payment it's actually going to be just under $200. I don't remember exactly what it is. It's in the high 180s or the low 190s. I plan on paying $200. And this is new. It replaced the balance that was here before. We actually took on just a little bit more in debt here. So it actually went up by about $1,400, maybe more. It might've been around $2,000, but we had to pay closing costs. What we did here was we have taken out this HELOC so that we could move our 17.99% credit card debt over to this line of credit, which is only 6.25%. And so you can already see the big difference here. So $16,900 is the total, and the interest on that total amount for 1 month is $88. And we were paying for less than that. We were paying over $200 per month in interest. So this obviously was something that was just really grinding on me. And so during the first week of February, when I first got to my parents after my dad hurt himself, and I spent most of the month of February there. For those of you who are not aware, I spent almost the entire month of February, like 23 out of 29 days at my hometown, about 65 miles away, with my parents, helping my mom and helping my dad as he was preparing for surgery and then after surgery and all that good stuff. I was down there and I started this conversation the first week in February. Then I realized I'm not coming back anytime soon. And we just had a heck of a time getting the appraisal scheduled and all that. And it just drug out. And then the pandemic hit, and the world as we know it just completely got turned on its heels. And so anyway, it took until the very tail end of March. Something that typically would have taken about 4 weeks to get done took 8 weeks to get done. And so our first payment is due May 15th. And so this is why it's showing up here. And I'm really excited to get past the pandemic, because for right now, we're going to pay this $200. But once we get past this and this uncertainty, we are actually going to go back to paying the $400 that I was paying to the credit card. So that way, this will knock out even more principal every month. We're super excited for that. So that's what's happening here. This is a new line that you guys haven't seen before. All right, that's the HELOC. And then we have our car payment will be $550. Child support, I need to change to $1925. And the reason why is because $725 is Matt's normal payment for child support, but his stimulus payment was sent directly to child support. We didn't see any of that. I'm passing it through here because it actually is going to hit his debt, but it didn't actually make it into our account. So it's just so that I can reflect the decrease in the debt. That's why I'm showing that here. And then the family loan will be $200. And then the student loans, which all of Matt's loans, with the exception of this one up here, all of them are federal student loans. And so there is no payment required. There wasn't for him anyway, but there's no payment required and there's no interest being accrued right now. So I need to change this to 0, which is awesome. And so that brings our total debt payments to $3,371. So that's the plan. Now let's go see what it looks like for our income versus expenses down here. Our total income was $10,928. Our total expenses are $10,503. That leaves $425 left over, and we need to spend every dollar on paper on purpose. Our plan right now, while things like all this uncertainty is happening, is we are putting everything into savings. So I'm going to add that amount to what we plan for the emergency fund, and that brings it to $475.44. Okay. And when we look down here now, pardon the scrolling, you can see it takes us to 0. And that's the goal. We want to spend it all before we ever get it, so that we know exactly what the plan is. I'd love to hear from you guys on what you have going on for your May budget. Have you set it up yet? Are you still trying to work through it? Are you just unsure because things have completely and totally changed for you? If that's the case, know that you and your family are in our prayers. We recognize how incredibly blessed we are, and that there are so many people who are not in the position that we are in. And if you're wondering about your stimulus payments, I actually did a video right here. I'm going to leave it for you to talk about the groups of people who have not yet received their stimulus payment and may not receive it. I'm talking about groups that are not qualified. So click on this and I will meet you guys over there to talk about it. That's all I've got for you today. Until next time.